Okay, I think I'm going live onto Facebook now. And magical, things are working. Okay, awesome. Well, I guess we can get started then, since I figured out how to work everything, and we'll see if anybody else joins in. And yeah, we have some new people this time. You can introduce yourself in the chat. Also, so you know, you can unmute yourself, you can show your face. None of this will be in the recording or the stream because I do some technology magic that makes it so you're invisible and I just look like a lunatic while I talk to myself. So feel free to introduce yourself, maybe like what grade you're in, things like that. I am joining you from France, so I just had dinner. It's 9 p.m. and this is why I can't do any later times because I will be sleeping afterwards. So I've had some people say, well, it's the magic of indoor lighting. That's why it's bright. So I'm going to go ahead and get started though with sharing my screen with you because I think that makes it look better. So it's 2 o'clock where you guys are. That's nice. Okay. So I'm going to also share my audio sound with you. Unfortunately, the stream will not capture that, but that's okay. So here is an example virtual escape room. This is a template and you can remix it. So that means you can just click on this button, remix, and it'll create a copy for you to basically do whatever you want with it. So we're just going to get started and click the start button to begin. And when you start an escape room, you want to start with your scene. What's your theme of your escape room? What is this all about? And oh, we have a teacher, STEM 5 to 8 teacher, perfect. So you want to start with your hook. So this is the part where you could be a little bit more, like I guess, more excited about and be creative about. Popular themes are like fantasy, things like, I'm going to type my name in, things like murder mystery, Sherlock Holmes, all those are super popular. And so this template is very, very simple because we only have a couple of puzzles. So escape rooms obviously have a puzzle. And escape rooms are actually, when we think of them like as the physical escape rooms, right? And we're like, oh, maybe now we can turn them and bring them into the classroom, or we can do them online. But in reality, escape rooms were always online. They were originally a video game. The oldest one was like, I don't know, 1980 something, a text adventure game. And that's where the term escape room comes from, because it was a point and click game where you would have to, you know, click on certain things to try to figure out what to do and then find the lock and escape. So Hollow 2 is a Hello Neighbor Act 2. I've never played that before. I have to check it out. I don't know what it is. Ah, I see. So this is a template actually for teachers. So I always start with, what do you need to create a good scenario for an escape room? What do you think the answer is? A thesis? An essay? Analysis? Hook? An essay. So we're going to click on essay. And as you notice, we go to the wrong choice page. And here you can do different things. Like in my case, I just made it very simple and made it red and said, get me out of here. So, oh, welcome. We have a librarian. Great. And so you could click try again. And this basically directs you back to the previous page where you had the questions. So oftentimes you might want to give a hint. A hint is very simple to do. You can just make a button, and when you click on it, the hint fades in. So let's try another answer. Let's try the right answer. Okay, hook. It's pretty simple. So we go and we move on. So on Monday, when I was doing, what was it? What did we do Monday? Choose Your Own Adventure games. I talked a little bit about how when you create a Choose Your Own Adventure and basically non-linear narratives, you can have different ways of creating the narrative. You can have branching, which means you can have multiple endings, and you can have something called parallel paths. And parallel paths basically give you branches, but they go back to one ending or to a choice. And so escape rooms are more like a parallel path sort of structure where we want to kind of guide the player or the reader through a set of puzzles and then reach a good ending. That is, like, you escaped. So we're going to continue, and this is a really boring quiz question. And this uses the text variable. So I already gave you the answer. When coding a free response question, you will need to set the user's response to a blank. So it's a variable, and we would have to type in variable correctly. If we say like la 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 and press enter, it's wrong, so we have to go back. And if we type the right answer, then it'll go to the right answer page. Okay, so here I get to be a little bit more creative. So you don't want your escape room to just be quizzes, otherwise it's just a test, and nobody likes tests, right? Yes. Yeah, it was a hidden test all along. No, that's terrible. So yeah, so you don't want it to be just a test. So here I reach a strange room and I can't navigate. So I locked the navigation. What do you think I can do? Okay, you're a smart boy. Yes, so take the key, you can drag the key around, drag it over the chest, and then something happens. In my case, it glows, and then there is an audio clue. So I unmuted myself, and there's a nice little audio that plays that says, "Beware of the hidden symbols in every room." And what do you think that means? Well, you're not going to tell your player exactly what that means, but I'm going to tell you because we're going to move forward and get to actually coding our escape room. So if you notice on this page, there's a P. See right here, there's a P. And on every, I don't think it's every page, but on a couple pages, you have hidden letters. So if you get all the hidden letters together, it'll spell a word. So that's a very simple puzzle that you can do. So in this case, I'm just going to tell you what it's escape. The answer is it's escape, and then you have your good ending. So let's actually, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new story. So like I said, you can actually remix this story and use it as a template. For teachers who want to use this story as a template, I do have a Google Doc template guide, so you can use that to help guide you create your own escape room that's in a similar fashion. I think recently there was one that was just published. Yeah, here, Escape the Pandemic. And so this one is very similar. She just changed up some of the questions and the hook. So you remember how to school anymore? Do you even remember your name? So my name is Fluffy because it can be fluffy. And yeah, my name is Fluffy. So as you can tell, it looks very similar to my template. Just changed the images, changed the backgrounds, and went forward with that. But yeah, we're gonna actually create one from scratch. So I'm gonna click write, and I'm going to click on write a new story. And the first step that we're gonna do is, well, I'm gonna actually make a nice title page. That was weird. So make a nice title page like so. Put a nice background because I can. And what should our escape room be called? Or first of all, what's going on in this escape room? Yeah, what should it be about? What should this escape room be about? Spy? Okay, okay. So, what should the title be? Spy. Okay, think about that. We're gonna move on. Spy caught. Okay. Spy in action. And escape room. Okay. Well, anyway, we're going to go ahead and create our hook. So this is our scenario of our escape room. This is the... So here's our hook. One day as you were out in the... we're out on an assignment. You were caught by... I don't know. Why Steve? Your arch... How do you even spell that? Nemesis? Nemesis, whatever. We're gonna pretend I spelled everything perfectly, and I will put it through spell check later. Okay. So once again, do you remember how we did the... We're gonna get this dude because we can. How to input your name. So we need what? So we need a text field. A text field is going to be your input, your text input. And I want to say, like, what was your name again? Okay, so let's see if we can code it. We need... Yes, we need an object, definitely. What object do we need? Okay, so we need the add a placeholder. In our case, we're gonna rename the placeholder to be your name here. And okay, great. So we need an object, and then what do we need? We need an event. What event are we gonna use? So on text input is our event that we're going to use. And then we need what? So on text input, what are we doing? Okay, so remember we have these things called variables. Yeah, we just went over on the hidden test, and we need a text variable. So do you remember what variables do? Or what they are? So variables are the containers and they hold a value. So variables hold a value, and it could be, if you're talking about vegetables, it could be a carrot or a potato. And in our case, we're going to have a value, a variable named name. And name is going to hold the value of whatever the user has typed in. So whatever your player has typed in, we're going to set. So we're going to use this one, variable equals text object. So that means on text input, so on text input, when I finish typing in the text, I want to set the variable equal to whatever text is inside of this input field. So then I would select a name, a variable, in this case it's name, and then it will be fine and dandy. So on the layout side, do you remember how we did, how we showed that there was a variable on the layout side? So yeah, it's called a mustache, and everyone else who's joining us is like, what the heck is a mustache? So a mustache is also known as a curly bracket, and its mustache is actually a technical term. So if you are a programmer, mustache is a technical term, and it's used in a couple of different programming libraries. So it's completely okay to say mustache. And we use this template syntax, is what it's called, to specify that whatever's inside of the curly brackets is a variable. So when you see the curly brackets, then we know that whatever's inside is a variable. So I'm just putting this here so you can take a look at it. But when I preview it, I'm gonna, right now the variable name has nothing assigned to it. It's an empty variable. And when I say, I don't know, Steve, or, well, this guy's name is Steve, so probably not the best name, maybe Paul, then Paul appears here. If I say Fluffy, then Fluffy appears. If I say, I don't know, John, then John appears. So that's basically the basics of using a variable, a text variable. And if you thought that was too fast, that's fine. It's because we do have a tutorial here, how to use a text variable, and it goes through this exact same example, step by step. And the reason why I'm going quickly over how to code all this is because I want to use this concept of text variables in our escape room. So a lot of this might go a little bit fast, but that's because I want to be able to get something out at the end of our 40 minutes left, essentially. So basically, I always like to have what is your name at the beginning because it makes it feel like a game. When we play games, we want to feel like we are the character, and that way we have choices, and we have agency, and we have the possibility to determine our own ending. And that's why games are fun. They give us freedom of choice, freedom to fail, freedom to do whatever you want. Yeah, freedom! Exactly. So let's say, like, okay, so on the next page, if we want to use the name, so let's have our dude here. He's angry, so let's have him be angry. Okay. Who's spy name? Are we talking about this guy or are we talking about us? Okay. Okay. Anyway, What are we gonna say here? I'm Agent Pete. Let's get out of here. Well, yeah, I mean, a virtual escape room can be a choose your own adventure. You can have different endings. There's nothing stopping you. So we can do something like that. So let's do like hi name, right? Okay. And let's change the font because I don't like this font. Okay. Yeah, the mustaches need to be more curly. Okay, great. So, hi name, I'm Agent Pete. Let's get out of here. And you said we wanted some choices, so we can add a choice. Yeah, we can add a choice. And choices, you can, the easiest way is to use a button. So buttons are here, it's a widget, and you can just grab it and change the text, change the color, whatever. So I don't like this green, so I'm going to change it to blue because it looks better. Trust. Maybe ignore him. So basically you're saying if I choose to ignore him, I'll just end up dying. Is that what it is? That seems a bit extreme. But I've seen some pretty extreme stories where they did like, there was I think a little girl who did an escape room, and I remember one of her endings was the alligator ate the girl or something, and I was like, okay, sure. Okay, so I'm gonna do, what do you decide to do? Trust him or ignore him? Okay, so I'm going to leave out the animations because ideally what you want is you want maybe the guy to fade in, then have the speech bubble fade in, and you don't want your choices to appear until after all the text is done. We're gonna just ignore that for now because we're just going to, we do have a jail background, so let's go get that. I think we have a dungeon. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, we have a lot of really scary dungeons. Let's do the simple jail. Yeah, something like that. Okay, so when we create the choice, do you want to code it for me? Well, first let's create some pages, and the different pages will be the what will be directed to. So in this case, we'll say this one is our trust him, and the other one is the ignore him. Okay, so how do we code this? Who wants to help me code this? Okay. Great, so I gave you my mouse. So what's the first thing you need? You need a couple blocks. So for those who are joining us for the first time, the way that we code on elementary is called node-based visual programming. And basically what that means is that you drag nodes together, essentially. The little circles or triangles in some cases. And if you're familiar with other visual programming languages like Blockly, Scratch, Code.org, you'll notice it looks very different. And one of the things that I am really big on is showing that visual coding is not just for babies. This is a misconception, especially in K-12 educators who think that visual coding is just a baby step and real coding is JavaScript and Python and those type of text-based coding programs. And that's completely not the case because visual coding is used in the real world. And the example I always like to use and show is something called Unreal Engine. And so you're definitely not familiar with what Unreal Engine is, but you definitely know of the games that it's developed and made. And one of them is Fortnite. Another one is Kingdom Hearts 3, Final Fantasy VII Remake. They make hundreds of games every year, and they're used by professional developers from big name studios all the way to the smaller independents. You also have other game development environments such as Unity that also include a visual coding environment, as well as other software that are outside of games. In particular, I always bring up Massive software because they create the animations in Lord of the Rings, in oh, yeah, you flip them. So yeah, you have visual coding used literally in a lot of animation, actually. I found another one. It's called something Houdini. I don't remember what it's called. But it's basically a software that is used for special effects. And it's used for like almost 70% of special effects in movies. And they have a visual coding environment as well. All right, great. I think you didn't connect the last one. You didn't connect that one. It doesn't work. Yep. Okay, great. So I'm going to take the mouse back. So Bren here, he's a superstar because he's joined me quite a few times now, so he knows how a lot of this coding stuff works. But I'm just going to walk you through it. The first step is you need to, when you have any choices, you want to disable the default navigation. So you want to lock the navigation for the next page as well as for the previous page. This is so that kids or readers don't flip the pages to places you don't want them to go. When you're creating a game, you want to give the feeling that people have choices, but you really have the full control over what they choose. So yeah, you basically direct the choice of the reader in a controlled way. So the next step is to code our buttons. So we have an event on click. So like it says, when you click on it, then our function, which is green. So functions are our actions. They tell us what we're going to do. And in this case, we're going to go to a specific page. So you have a couple options. You have origin and then all the page numbers that you have for the slides. So great question. What does origin do? So origin basically takes you to the page that you came from. And this can be really good if you create an escape room where, like, for example, the spy dies a lot. So like, for example, let's say like this is our sad dead page, okay? And let's just pretend that no matter what choice you make here, you're gonna have a button that always makes him die every time. So it's a very sad escape room. You don't escape, essentially. So I'm gonna add a button for all of them, actually. Yeah, so like, for example, in the trust him one, I'm going to direct the reader on click, and I'm going to go to a different page. Where is it? Go to page. And I'm always going to go to page 6. And then this one is the same thing. I'm always going to go to page 6. So great. So then what origin does is origin basically allows you to go to the page that you came from. So If you came from page 2, then you would go back to page 2. If you came from page 3, you would go back to page 3. So let's test that out. Origin. So I'm going to go here, preview, trust him. Okay, then I go back. This is the trust him page, right? I'm going to go to the ignore him. I'm going to click next. And then I go to this page. And then when I go back to page 3. So Origin basically allows me to go to, yeah, any page, the one that I came from previously. So this is basically the use cases if you go to this page a lot. So if you die a lot, or if you get an answer wrong a lot, and you don't want to create like an infinite number of dead pages. So, okay, that's a bit violent. Okay. No, let's not kill off our secret agent that fast, okay? Like we still need a story here. He's supposed to escape. Okay, so what are some puzzles that we can do? So we looked at some questions and answers that you can do. So for example, in the previous story, we had a multiple choice question, and then we had like a free response question. And those are all fine and dandy, and they allow us to... And so that allows you to ask questions and get answers. But what are some like more fun things that you could do in an escape room? Can you think of anything? What's a fun interaction that we can have, or an interesting puzzle? Have you played many escape rooms? You couldn't escape the escape room? It was too difficult? That's tough. So let's see. Okay, so one thing that we can do is we can you put a puzzle? So are you asking about if you can upload your own puzzles, or put a jigsaw puzzle, or a riddle? Because you could put riddle. Riddles are fun. Yeah, so you can, if you want to add a jigsaw puzzle, you can actually upload your own. So uploading, you can upload your own images if you wanted to. So that, yeah, so this is a pro option if you want to upload your own images, but it opens up a lot more types of puzzles that you can do that are specific to your content area or whatever you're doing. But yeah, let's put a riddle. So I don't know. I'm not good at riddle though. Does anyone have a riddle to give me? If I search riddles, what do I come up with? I don't know. Riddle. Okay, you know a riddle? What's a good riddle? I don't know. What would I do? I don't think that really works in our our case though. If we're saying you're imagining that you're in a dungeon, I don't think that works in our case. Okay, so now we have tons of riddles coming out. Thank you. I'm so bad at riddles. This is why I use Google. And okay, so I'm gonna just copy. Oh, this is the wrong copy paste. Wrong copy. What is black and white and red all over? This is such a librarian riddle. T. T, T, T. What is black and white and red all over? Okay, so it's kind of weird if we make like our guys say that. So we're just gonna so we're gonna make it into a secret message instead. How about that? Like they find a secret message. Do I have like a message or something? Paper. That's toilet paper. Not quite. Bottle. Oh, here we go. Here's the secret message. Alright, great. So, one thing that can be kind of interesting for us or for anyone is maybe we don't want to like see the text. We want an audio clue. So maybe let's create like a nice, I don't know. Here we go. Yeah, scary. So yeah, it's pretty dark, so I'm gonna add a header. You're wondering about how I do the things. Yeah, you just get a shape and you can make it bigger and smaller and like a rectangle. And then another cool thing is you have an opacity, so you can set the opacity. You can make it invisible, which is really good for hidden picture books. And take it to the back, and I'm gonna just change the font to, okay. You're not sure if you made the right choice, but what choice do you really have? You follow him into a creepy room. Okay, that's gonna be our text. And I'm gonna just make that a little smaller and yeah, a little bigger, a little smaller, you know. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so you can also make this a little darker so it fits a little bit better. Yeah, something like that, so it fits better. And what you can do is you can have multiple objects on the page. So what's important when you create a game is that you create what are called like red herrings, or also Easter eggs. So red herrings are kind of like the objects or things that don't really matter to your game. They're just kind of there to distract from it. Because if you only have one object on a page to click on, then it's not really fun. I mean, that's the core design. It's not fun, and we need to make it more fun. So we're gonna get some other objects, maybe like, I don't know, let's get a cat or something. Yeah, we get like a creepy cat here. I don't know, maybe do I have anything scary? Like, what are how is a butterfly scary? Okay, sure, a butterfly. There we go. So there we go. We have a butterfly, a cat, things like that. Okay, so we have a couple of objects on the page. You have a couple of choices on what you can click, and we can trigger different actions depending upon what we click. I'm just gonna get rid of these buttons because they're kind of ugly, and we don't really, yeah, my code will disappear partly. So what I'm going to do is, let's say I'm going to code an audio clue. So in order to do an audio clue, I need to record a voiceover. So I go to sounds, I click on record voiceover. I'm going to click on that. I don't think anyone will hear you, so it's going to capture my microphone sound. And what is black and white and red all over? So I can then trim my clue I can preview it. It sounds good. I'm gonna save that, and I'm going to call it black, white, or I'm gonna just call it newspaper. And I'm gonna save it. So then in order to trigger the audio clue to play, when I click on it, I need to go to event graph. I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to use the same on click event because that's what I want. You might, yeah, you can do creepy voices if you want. So there's a couple options. You can do on click or on click once. What do you think the difference is? Yeah, exactly. So if you use on click, you can continuously spam the click and it will continuously spam whatever function it's going to play. So that might not be the most ideal. So we're going to try using on click once. So we're going to use on click once. And what are we clicking? In my case, I don't know. I want the kind of weird to have a. You want the butterfly to play a sound? Yeah, so we can play a. Yeah, we can play a sound effect for the butterfly. So on click once, I want to play a recorded sound right here. And then that's all. So I select the sound. I only have one, and it's called newspaper. And if I preview, I'll hear it. Unfortunately, my stream won't hear it, but that's okay. So I'm not sure if you noticed, but before, I'm going to go back. You'll see a bit of a glow, and that basically means this object is interactable. And when it glows, it means you can either click on it or you can drag it around. So in my case, I clicked on it, but you can also make it so you can drag it around, things like that. So that is kind of one interaction you could do. And we had another suggestion to play a sound effect when I click on something. So let's have the butterfly. I need it. Oh, we could do on click once again. We could do on click. So on click is nice also. You can make a band that way. So you have music and you have sound effects. I think we have a sound effect called indicators. Yeah, indicators. And I like this one because it's short and there's... I don't know which one you like. Oh, that's loud. Okay, that one. So you'll see that there's a 2 here, and that basically means on this page there's 2 sounds. There's the one I recorded, and there's now a sound effect. So if I ever wanted to, you know, remove them, then I can delete my recorded sound, or I can delete. But I don't want to, because then I would have to re-record it, and that would make me sad. Okay, so I can now select from the drop down which sound effect I want. I'm going to click on that. And basically, I'm going to get the butterfly on click. So one thing I want to show you is how to sequence functions. And in order to sequence a function, you need multiple functions, first of all, because it's a sequence, one after the other. And let's have the butterfly bounce. So it'll be after I play the sound effect, I want my butterfly to bounce. So I'm going to preview and see how that works. Okay. So if I want him to bounce at the same time as my sound effect, what do I do? Who wants to help me? Okay, help me out. Okay, preview it. Perfect. Okay, great. Ah, give me my mouse back. Okay, awesome. So I now have some interactions on this page, and maybe okay, maybe I want, well, first of all, how do I go to the next page? What's right now we don't have a button, we don't have anything directing us. So no, in the code, how do I direct it? Right now I don't have a button. So do I want a button? Do I want it to appear? Do I want to direct my page turn right after I play the recording? Okay, let's try that. So I'm going to go to page 6 after my recording. Let's see if that works. Preview. And then it directs the page automatically. So you don't have to trigger the page turn with a click event. You could just do it automatically after a certain amount of functions or a certain time period even. So one thing that can be, you can do that. So for example, you can use the wait function. We have a wait function. And you can say something like, wait 12 seconds, and after 12 seconds are up, go to the next page. Your time is up. So I'm going to go to this page now. So this is where I continue. And we're going to continue. So now we have a riddle, but we don't really have a way to validate our answer or even give an answer to begin with. So let's try to figure out how to give an answer. So there's it looks like blood. Yeah, it looks kind of creepy. So there's a couple ways that you can give an answer. The easy way would be like using a button and creating like a multiple choice kind of question. That's also the least fun way, I think, because it feels a lot like a multiple choice test. You have other ways, which might be you want to click on the right object. So if you have a newspaper, you can put a newspaper in. I don't know if we have a newspaper, do we? Maybe paper? Is there paper? Oh, we already searched for paper. Let's see. We have any miscellaneous? Oh, you have like tools and stuff. Okay, let's look. Oh, we have a compass. A compass can be kind of fun. So if you want to say like what direction you want to go. So you can do some sort of puzzle with the direction. So I'm gonna actually show you though the easy hard way of doing a free response question. So free response questions are a bit more difficult because they do require you to use variables again. So let's add some. I don't know why I keep doing this. You have a down arrow and you can actually like preset the top bottom stuff with a black thing. You can also duplicate a selected page. which duplicates all of your code on top of that. So that's really useful if you do want to go the route of making a quiz. You don't have to code the question and answers and all that 50 million times. You could just duplicate the page 50 million times instead. So I'm going to bring this to the top. And what are you whispering? Okay, so you feel a little strange. What was that message all about anyway? Exactly, so we need to make it a little less random with our writing. So what was Agent Pete? Yeah, Agent Pete. Okay, we'll have Agent Pete actually say something. So where's Agent Pete? Agent Pete's on the first page. Agent Pete is here. Okay, Agent Pete is here. And I'm gonna add text and say something like, oh no, there's a lock we can't go through. Anyway, my puzzles are really bad, but ideally you would think more about how your puzzles fit with your story. But we do what we can in our limited amount of time. What is password here? Okay. So in order to code everything, once again, we need a variable. And we're going to use a new block that we never really encountered before, and that is the compare text block. So this is a conditional in programming language. It's basically an if-else statement. And what we're going to do is our logic is we're going to create a variable called like player answer. And player answer will contain the value of whatever was typed inside this input field. Now, player answer is a variable, and we want to compare it to the actual answer. So the actual answer is this thing here, and it's, what was it? Newspaper? Newspaper. Okay, so this block is really important, but we need to get the whole variable stuff set up. And that is exactly the same as when we were creating the variable name and setting it that way. So it's exact same logic. So you remember how we did that? What do we need first? So we need to create a text variable. What does the variable do again? Variables do have a mustache on the front side of the page in the layout design. So I'm going to call this player answer. Okay. So I'm going to create a variable, and basically I need an event. Which event? Okay, I'm going to give you my remote. Go. So I need an event. Yeah, you need on text input, and then what do you need? You need a couple more blocks. Let me give you a hint. It's not a function. That's the easy one, yeah. You need a text field. Yep. We already have an event. We just need one. I go to variables. We already have our object. We just need that one object. It's got to be one of these red blocks. Which one do you think it is? Variable equals text object. Yeah. So we're going to... Yep. And we're missing a connection. Okay. What variable do we select? It says select variable. You have another one you have to select? Okay, great. So now we have, it's almost done. So we have compare text, which is a conditional. It's the white block. And you see you have exact and you have else, right? So exact is when your answer matches exactly the answer, and else is when it doesn't. So, okay, I got it. You're having fun. Okay, I have full control again. It's all mine. Okay, great. So I'm gonna make this bigger so we can all see a little bit better. And when we're doing our code, it's really easy for the lines to get tangled. And you should always think of the lines as going from the triangles left to right, like arrows almost. So this gives you the flow. So it's a lot like a flow chart. So you have player answers equal, if the player answer, when you compare it to newspaper, is exactly exact, otherwise do something else. So what do we want to do if it's exact? Okay, we're gonna make a very short escape room. Okay, so let's just have another page and we say, in our case, yeah, we'll get this one. That's a bit gruesome. Let's not slip and fall and die, okay? And what happens if you get the answer wrong? Okay. So let's we can have another page here, and this can be, I don't know. We'll figure out what Steve looks like later. Locks you up again. Okay, great. So let's just finish our quick little thing. We have exact and else. So in our case, we just want to navigate to a new page, but you can do other things like fade things in. Includes is if the text is inside the string. So for example, if your answer was like news, and when you compare it with newspaper, the news is included with newspaper, then it fits in this category. So yeah. Where's my go-to page again? Okay, I found it. Okay, so if you get it right, you go to page 8. If you don't get it right, you go to page 7. So preview that. La. Steve finds you and locks you up. Okay, let's preview again. And my password was newspaper. You escaped. So we did some very, very short and simple examples. And you can do things like that. You just need to use the wait function. So like for example, if you do, we can do that. So like on page start, wait. How long do you want to wait? We're gonna give them 5 seconds. If they don't answer in 5 seconds, you're locked up. Then go to page 7. So let's preview. There you go. So you can do things like that as well to make things a little bit more exciting for your player. But if you do have a countdown, you have to make sure you let your player know. Otherwise, they're going to feel very frustrated. So you want to make sure, yeah, exactly. They're going to think that your game is bugged and terrible. So you have to make sure that you indicate that there's a countdown if there is a countdown. So anyway, that's it for today. Our 1 hour passed by super quickly. We didn't go through, well, we covered a lot, but there's still a lot more that can be covered with escape rooms. So next week, I'm going to be doing, what is it called? Easter eggs. So we're going to be doing Easter eggs, and we're going to be looking at the Boolean variable, the yellow ones here. They're fancy and wonderful, and they are true and false. So we're going to be using the Boolean variables to indicate things like whether or not you picked up a key on page 2. And if you picked up a key on page 2, then maybe you can open up the chest that's on page 10. Things like that can happen if you understand how Boolean variables work. Another thing that's very common is something like maybe you have to wait until all of the dialogue and narration is finished before you can actually click on things. That can also be done using a Boolean variable. And Boolean is just a fancy way of saying true and false, yes or no, 1 and 0, these sort of values. So that's what we're going to be doing next week. This video is streamed, so it will be up and is up for you to refer to. And at some point within the next 2-ish weeks, 3-ish weeks, depending upon how fast I do everything, I will be uploading a lesson plan, and the lesson plan will be on our /curriculums page. So yeah, so your work is just have fun, start creating an escape room, start thinking about what kind of puzzles you might want to do that make your escape room more fun and interesting. And yeah, it'll be really fun to play them. So no problem. Does anyone have any questions at this time? And I will end the stream now.